Hey friends, welcome to another episode. Today's episode is 6 tips to make meal prep easier. Now, we all have those days where we just don't feel up to meal prepping, and it can't just be me. We know it's important to do, but sometimes the last thing that you want to do is meal prep, when all you want to do, just grab yourself a Chipotle burrito and call it a day. Because you're tired of never having time to cook decent meals, you're feeling frustrated that you have to resort to processed foods and expensive meal kits and meal delivery services with foods that you don't really know how to pronounce or you wouldn't regularly cook on a day-to-day basis, but you're still having to buy foods for the children, and you're just simply tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Hello, plain chicken, broccoli, and rice, and you feel like you should be able to enjoy your cooking instead of feeling like you have to do this and eat chicken and broccoli every single day in order for you to lose weight. Friends, if I've just read your mail, today's episode is for you, and I am loving how so many of you are downloading episode 126, Meal Prep for Weight Loss, a diet plan for success. If you haven't listened to it, go and listen to that. And if you have listened to it, this is the next step for you to get the next 6 simple tips for you to manage your meal prep. Hey friends, welcome to VA Nutrition Coaching, the podcast. You are tuned in for another weekly episode, and I am your host, Verona, and I'm so glad you're here. I'm here to give you mindset-focused nutrition, weight loss advice that you can keep off for the long term. It's not about restrictive diets here. It's not about cutting out carbohydrates. It's definitely not about cutting out your favorite foods in order to lose weight that, quite frankly, as soon as we've lost it, we end up regaining it and a little bit more. No, friends, I'm here to give you real talk, no nonsense weight loss that you can actually achieve realistically and keep it off. I'm a faith-based woman, also keeping it real when it comes to weight loss and keeping it real when it comes to nutrition, helping you do things that you can actually sustain for a long term. Now, friends, let's get into today's episode. Okay, friends, so we're talking about meal prep today. 6 tips to make meal prep easier. Now, I don't want to make weight loss hard for you. It's hard and complicated enough as it is when you're following one person who says, got to do this, and then you're following another person who says, no, you don't do it like this. This is how you got to do it. Instead of all of that noise, I'm going to give you 6 simple tips to make your meal prep easier and in steps that you can actually achieve. You're saving yourself time, you're saving yourself money, and we're all about saving yourself stress here. So that's exactly what we're talking about today on the episode. So let's get started. Before we get started, if you're somebody who's struggling with meal prep and you listen to episode 126, head on over to the website vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/recipes. Don't just come to this episode and listen to it and go away and then forget what you actually heard. It's now time for you to put into practice exactly what you heard. And the best bit, my friends, you ain't got to pay a penny. That's right. vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/recipes will take you to my 5 ingredient recipe pack. That's it. Super simple recipes for you to get started if you're stuck with meal prep and you have no idea to get started. You do need to download it. As soon as you download it, you will be able to get cooking straight away. I've given you the recipes in there. I've given you the macros if you're somebody who wants to track macros, so you know exactly what to buy, what aisle to shop in. I unfortunately can't come to your house and cook it for you, but I'm preparing you for success because I have heard your cry when it comes to meal prep, when it comes to creating a diet plan that works for you. These are the steps that you need to take. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't know how or where to start with meal prep, it can very quickly turn into a tedious chore and becomes boring, and it can take away from your life rather than adding value to your life. So in this podcast, we're going to cover some of the key tips for making meal prep easier so that you can save time, you can save some coin, and you can also enjoy your favorite foods without feeling like you have to cut out bread, you have to cut out carbs, you have to cut out sugar, you have to cut out fat, because quite frankly, ain't no one got time to be doing exactly that. So we're going to get straight into the tips. Number 1 is you are making a decision, deciding what to prep. Now, as with any meal prep, you want to make sure that you have all of the ingredients on hand. There is nothing worse than coming to the kitchen and trying to make a recipe, but you find you haven't got the key ingredients and you're scrounging and you're rummaging around just to find something to cook, and you end up not enjoying it in the first place. So when you're deciding what to prep, here are the things that we've got so far. You've got your food. how often you're going to be eating it. Are you going to be eating it every day? Listen, let me tell you, I can't stand eating the same meal every single day. I don't give my clients the same meals every single day because that's hella boring. If you are somebody who likes to do that, you go girl, you go, because it's about you and it's about what works for you, your family and your lifestyle. And how much of ingredient do you need? Do you need a lot? Do you need a little bit? Do you need a little bit more? Do you need to spice it up? All of those things are in the recipe pack for you to download. But if you're not following the recipes, these are tips that can absolutely work for you. Second tip is shop the food you need. Now, when we go shopping, I don't know if you're like me, but I can go shopping. I prefer clothes shopping to food shopping. But when you're like me, you can see the buy one get one free, or you can see the deals or the coupon deals. You've already got some in the pantry that you haven't used from the last shopping trip that you've done. But because when you go into the supermarket, you see, or the grocery store, you actually see that it's on offer and you're drawn to the offer price tag, but not the logical option of whether or not that, do I need another one? And I've got 4 boxes at home and we actually haven't even opened one box. This is where the shopping for what you need comes into play. So when you're shopping for ingredients to make your meals, make sure that you've got everything you need. Don't go shopping when you're hungry is a common tip that we all use, and don't buy more food than you actually need. With the increase of prices this day, you haven't got time to be spending money on shopping that you're not going to eat and you don't even need. If it's possible, take a list of the ingredients that are needed for the recipe. Put it on your phone, use an app, use a shopping app, whatever works for you, or bring out the old pen and paper. There's nothing wrong with the old-fashioned pen and paper shopping list. It's easy to do and you can cross it off and you know, right, I've got this off my list. When you're starting to do that, this will help you to ensure that there aren't going to be any costly mistakes or gaps in your meal plan. Now, in the recipe pack, and in the book, actually, both of these things are guides to help you if you're struggling with meal prepping. vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/cookbook is where you can grab the book yourself. And in there, I teach you how to create a meal plan for yourself. It's not about you going down to the internet and downloading a meal plan with recipes that you can't even pronounce, food and ingredients that are out of season. For example, jicama fries might be, I don't even know how you see, I can't even pronounce it because we don't have that over here. And what that does, it creates a sense of defeat even before you've actually started, because if you're excited to start doing meal prep and you find that what you're trying to, or jicama, I think it's jicama fries, if you find that what you're doing is you've got all the other ingredients but the thing that you're trying to buy is not in season, that's deflating, and that actually can be a little bit discouraging because you're so excited to get started, you're so excited to finally get back on track. All that you're used to, there are so many recipes that are out there, you're struggling. Even on Pinterest, you're struggling because there are just so many recipes out there. It's so hard to find a recipe that is both delicious and easy to make. And then what happens is, once you feel that you finally found something that works for you, you discover that the key ingredient is always the key ingredient, right? The key ingredient is not available because it's out of season. Talk about deflated. That would deflate and discourage me. And I know where I would go. I would probably go to a drive-through and get the biggest meal that I can get and drown my sorrows and be like, you know what? This is not going to work for me. I've failed already. So instead of doing that, it's about making sure that you've got ingredients that you can pronounce that are in season. And if they're not in season, what would be a great substitute for that? Now, in the recipe packs, and especially in the book, I've actually included alternatives because this helps you, especially if you're in the UK, it helps you to be able to understand, right, this is what I can buy if I don't have this. And it's always a good idea to have alternatives so you don't feel deflated and don't have any gaps in your meal plan. Now, when it comes to things like cupboard items, like dry pasta, dried food goods, one of the key things that we need to do, now this isn't assuming that nobody knows how to do this, but because we start to buy things more than we actually need, we tend to forget the expiration date. So one of the key tips that I can give you is to make sure the foods that you're eating are in date, and so they don't go bad and before the end of date. And I've done that so many times and ended up wasting food. So the key is to not buy any food that isn't going to be eaten by anyone else in your household. You want to be spending your money in ways that are beneficial for you, beneficial for your meal prep, and beneficial for your family. So the next tip is prepping your food ahead of time. I cannot recommend this enough, because when you start to shop for your ingredients, you make sure that you have everything that you need to the T, because this will be helpful for you if there are certain foods that don't last long, especially when they are not in the fridge. Preparing your containers in advance. In the meal prep course, I'm going over the containers, what sort of containers you need, why you need them, what types of food will be sustainable in each type of container. That's all in the book. So what you need to do is cook the food, make sure the food is cool enough, then you fill it in a container, and then that is one meal prep recipe done. And if possible, you can start to store some of your prepared meals in the freezer until they're ready to eat. But there is a time limit in terms of the types of food that you're eating. Once you've done the shopping, you've created the shopping list, then you've created yourself a plan, then you've gone to shopping, then you've got all the ingredients, then you've come home to cook it according to what the recipe says, making sure that you can store them and store them effectively. So a couple of things that you can do to make sure that you are preparing your food well is to make sure your food is prepared in a cool, dry place, away from heat, like stoves and ovens once it's done. If you're somebody who has limited space, then one thing that you can do is consider investing in extra space, i.e. extra freezer space, so that your meal prep can actually fit in there, and that is something that I can do. So one other thing you can do is to label your foods. There's nothing worse than taking out foods from the container. You have no idea of what the sell by date or the expiry date is, but it's important to make sure that you label it. For example, you can use freezer bags and you can label the end by date and the cook date when you've cooked it, and the expiry date. You can put the when you bought it, when you opened it, and the sell by date you can put on there. So that will help you to prepare your food in a safe way and to also prevent things like food poisoning as well. And the last couple of tips I'm going to go into is make meal prep fun, because meal prep isn't boring. Meal prep sometimes can be boring if you're just cooking, but if you're somebody who likes to watch shows, at the minute I have binge watched All American. It is an amazing show, and I have literally just seen, there are two of my shows that have come back out. Virgin River, the next season is out, and Dream Home Makeover season 3 is out at the time of recording this podcast. It's the end of July 2022 now, and those are my kind of shows. But if you're somebody who finds or has found prepping meals to be boring in the beginning, especially if you're tired, this could be the time, and the kids are in bed, this is your time. Especially if you're busy. You're busy and you are someone you struggle to find inspiration and resources to help you cook meals that are healthy, that are delicious, because you want to be able to eat healthy, but you find that you don't always have the time or energy to cook healthy meals because you're struggling to find a balance. This can be one of the ways that you can make meal prepping fun. This is your time, the time that you spend with yourself. Grab a glass of wine, grab a glass of fizzy drink, whatever your favorite food or drink is, make this your time. Because when you're going to do these things for yourself, create this space, create the environment, put on music, put your headphones in, dance with your husband, do whatever it is you need to do to make this time fun. Because sometimes it can be a little bit boring. You're just standing over the stove, cooking, you've got little feet tugging at you, asking for some of the food that you're trying to prepare. I know it can be a struggle, but it doesn't have to be this way. I've just mentioned two of the shows and I can watch them at one time. But when you're cooking, this is the time for you. Grab your wine, untrack the wine. Don't worry about tracking macros, making sure it's a glass of wine, but savoring the flavor. Don't just knock it back. Savor the flavor, and then enjoy your show at the same time. Get yourself a snack, get yourself some ice cream if you can. Actually, it will probably melt with the heat in the kitchen. But if you're somebody that wants to get children involved as well, if you want to get them involved to cut up vegetables, to pack it in the freezer bags, this is a great thing for you to also have and involve your children in, because it will help them understand the preps of vegetables, to understand vegetables and all of those things. If you're somebody who wants to actually listen to what happened with one of my clients, almost 2 years later, a client of mine who was a busy mom. She struggled with feeding her children healthy recipes. In fact, they didn't want to eat healthy food at all. We literally navigated her family dynamics. What did the children eat? What would they likely try? And we created recipes that would work for her needs, her body, and her family. And I tell you, a year later, her children are absolutely loving vegetables. Now, for the mums who might be like, well, that ain't my child. My child's not going to do that. My child hates vegetables. It hates greens, all of those things. It starts somewhere. If you can have them as your little helpers around, and you're making them feel like they have an important role by asking them to stir something or to supervisory or to cut up some vegetables while supervised, of course, you might even find yourself having a good time together with a whole family activity. Now, there are things that I recommend. One of the things is Taco Tuesday. You don't have to have it on a Tuesday, but you can have it on a Tuesday. And that is something where the children can absolutely get involved with chopping up the lettuce, helping you to make meal prep fun so they learn to do it. Obviously, it's not going to go from eating Chick-fil-A every single night or whatever fast food that you have in your family, KFC, whatever it is, it's not going to go from that to, oh, give me vegetables, mummy, overnight. Obviously, it's not going to be that easy. But when you're doing slow and steady, which I teach all the time in Focus on the Fat Loss, when you're focusing on small and steady, giving them an activity that they will enjoy. If you didn't know, my background is children, young people, and families, hence why I'm giving you the key strategies that I've worked time and time again over my 15-year period of coaching that particular clientele. So it's not that I don't know what I'm talking about. It's not that I'm boasting, but it's about equipping you and making children's nutrition as much as a priority as your own. Yes, it's going to take time. Yes, it's going to take commitment, but slow and steady will help you. Get some color fruit boxes to store it in. They're going back to school soon. You're getting the children getting prepared to go back to school soon. This is a fantastic time to start implementing healthy nutrition. This is the right time for you to start joining Focus on the Fat Loss. So you're doing the things for your children as they go into a new school year, as they go into a new school, as we go into a new month, as we go into a new season. It is a season of newness. It is the ripe time. See what I did there? The ripe time to create new habits and make sure that they last. And you will be one of the clients that come back to me a year later telling me, Verona, this 6 tips to making meal prep easier absolutely changed my life. It changed my life. Focus on the Fat Loss really helped me to focus on me as a mom. And I'm so thankful for this. This is why I do this. This is why I show up every single day in my little podcast office, coming to encourage you to do this. I know meal prep is hard work, but when you start to put these things in place, these little things, and you start to see the benefits and you start to see the joy on the faces of your children, that makes meal prep so much more rewarding. You may see lots and lots of people online. You might see lots and lots of people creating stacks of meal prep for 6 hours. If you don't have the time to do that, please do not try to do that. Do what works for you. In the book, I give you some tips as to how you can navigate that for yourself. Then I give you the recipes to put that in practice. The key to succeeding in meal prep is to get good at and consistent at one thing first. Then you can explore, change up the ingredients. You can do so many different things when it comes to meal prep, but don't do things that don't work for you, that don't bring you joy, that bring you more stress, i.e. cooking for 8 hours in one single day. I don't do that myself. There are some coaches who do that. If that works for them, fantastic. I am not one who is going to tell you to do something that you hate, and then what happens is you end up falling back to your old habits, and then you get more frustrated. I'm coming alongside you as your coach to teach you and to work with you through things that we can try, but you've got to be willing to try them. There's no point in me giving you ideas and options and you're like, nah, that's not going to work for me. I can't be bothered to do that. Nah, no. Next, nah, that's not working for me. Computer says no, that's just not going to work. You're not trying. You've given up before you try. And nobody likes somebody like that, really. We've got to be born a tribe. We've got to do these things. And so when you're learning to do these things slow and steady, then over time and over consistency, even if you did one thing well, that is a win. It might not feel like it. It might not look like it compared to somebody else. That's why you focus on your grass and tend it so it can become green as ever instead of focusing on someone else. So my challenge to you in wrapping up is following these tips, making meal prep fun, enjoy the children as much as they can. It's a new season for you guys over in the US. If you're somebody who's struggling with your nutrition and you're struggling with what to cook in terms of meal prep, go to the website, download these resources. That's exactly why I created them for you. If you're somebody who needs that accountability support, you need that group support, you need that coaching support, then Focus on the Fat Loss is there. Now, I could reel off everything that we're doing. It's a macros-based program, and we're talking about mindsets. We're talking about how how you can maintain your results, how you can build an effective workout routine. Yes, exercise is important when it comes to healthy eating. When the children are back at school, you can have some time for yourself and getting fit. We're talking about supplements, we're talking about the damage that diets cause, and of course we're digging deeper into meal prep, your nutrition, and your goals. So there's so much that we are going through when it comes to meal prep. These are 6 simple tips to be able to help you make meal prep fun. But when meal prep can seem like a daunting task, I encourage you, and trust me, it doesn't need to be. With the right tips, with the right coach, and the right tricks, you can make meal prep so much easier and enjoyable. Whether your goal is to save time or to save money on food expenses, or you just want to be able to eat healthier meals for yourself or as a family as a whole, meal prep is a great way for you to begin to get those goals. So my friends, if you are loving this episode and you know now school time for you, school season is busy, you are going to get your stationery, you're going to get the uniforms, because the old uniforms are no longer going to fit them and you need to give them the new uniforms, or you're passing down the old uniform from one child to the other, but you just need some new shirts. Friends, wherever you are at in terms of your nutrition, in terms of your journey in your season, this is something to help you. And this also for children who don't get school meals and you are preparing for them, this is fantastic. Give them ownership, give them the meal plan, give them how they can create their own nutrition. Everything that I've given you is in the book, and you've got a snapshot of it in the recipes. vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/recipes is exactly where you can download everything to make meal prep easier for you, your children, and your family. Friends, this has been a fantastic practical episode. If this is something that you know a mum needs to hear, especially in this time where you're getting everything ready for the new school year, then send it to her. It's available on Spotify, it's available on Stitcher, it's available on Google Podcasts, it's also available on Apple Podcasts for anyone who is Team Apple. Listen to it, download the resources. I will put the link in the show notes below, so you can start off with 5 ingredients, 5 super simple ingredients that you can make accessible for the children as well as your family. Then once you've got that consistently, then you can go on to bigger things. You can go and grab the book, the cookbook, and you can then sign up to the meal prep membership as well every single month, where you will get fresh recipes to be able to help you do that. There are so many things that are practical and tangible that I want to help you. I've created these to be able to help you so that you don't feel helpless. I was there once upon a time. I was frustrated, I was fed up, and I was like, meal prep is just too hard. It's giving me a headache. Everybody else online seems to be able to get on it. It was just too difficult for me to eat the right amount of food. And people were suggesting I do this, people were suggesting I do that, and it was just too much. In the end, all I did was go to what I knew, which was, right, if I want to order a meal, a 6-nugget meal with chips, fries, and a Coke, I knew exactly what I was getting. There was no stress. I could eat it, then I could eat some more if I wanted to. And that was the mentality and the kind of fear and anxiety I had around meal prep, which is why I create the resources so that you don't have that same anxiety or fear around meal prep, because it can be daunting. It can be hard, especially when you see everybody else doing it and the recipes look pretty, but you don't know how to cook. And there's no shame in it. You don't know how to cook. You just literally, some of you put things in the oven and you take it out and the children are complaining. Children may complain because it's not cooked properly, it's not seasoned properly, and we all have been through that stage. None of us are gourmet chefs. I'm not a gourmet chef. But once you learn how to do these things, it's important to keep doing that. So I've given you the list, the shopping list. The way that I broke down the shopping list is it gives you things like condiments, it gives you dairy items, non-dairy items. It's all portioned out. So you just got to go and get those ingredients. You create your meal plan in using the template I've given you. Then you cook the recipe, then you season it up with seasonings. And then if you don't like how a recipe tastes, dare to experiment. If you're like, right, actually, you know what would go well with this? I know a seasoning that would complement this. That's why I'm equipping you to do that. Then join the Facebook community, come and share your recipes, tag me in your social media accounts if you've got them, and then you're a community and you can share swaps and tips and tricks with each other, and then you can learn from others. That's why I create these things. All the ways that you can download everything is in the show notes below. Go and download it and tag me in your stories once you've made it, and I would love to hear how you're getting on, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Hey friend, you made it to the end of the episode. What was your biggest takeaway from today's episode? Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review over on iTunes. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about today's episode, or you need help, then you can contact me over on Instagram at VA Nutrition Coaching Podcast, or email me support@vanutritioncoaching.co.uk, or you can head over to the Facebook page VA Nutrition Coaching Podcast. It helps helps us reach even more women who are fed up of dieting, don't know how to lose weight. They're frustrated with following Sally's results and they're not getting any of their own, and they just finally want to shed some pounds and do it in a way that they can sustain and they can enjoy. But my friends, that's a wrap for today's episode. I can't wait to catch you on the next one. Until then, friends, stay healthy, stay blessed, and remember, if you haven't already downloaded your 5-ingredient recipe pack, you can go to the website vanutritioncoaching.co.uk/recipes and download your 5-ingredient recipe pack. Who said healthy eating was boring? See you next time, friend.